Are you paying too much in taxes? Elevated Tax and Accounting is a firm that specializes in tax planning and strategy to minimize your tax bill. Elevated Tax consult with you on tax strategy throughout the year, so no more waiting until the end of the year and hoping for the best. As a business owner, you know your sole focus should be spent working on your business, not in it. Outsourcing gives you the time to concentrate on the core reasons you started your company, to create and innovate a top-tier product and generate profits. Elevated Tax and Accounting, elevating you and your business with a modern professional touch.
Driving along on the highway and you've been hit by a semi-truck. Now what do? You call your Montana attorneys, Ryan and Miller. We have the expertise to help guide you along in these specific types of accidents. So these are the 3 steps that you need to follow. Number 1, make sure that the police are called and that there is a report of the accident. Second, make sure that you're getting the medical attention that you need and following up with your doctor. Third, do not talk to an insurance company until you've talked to an attorney. They are not going to help you protect your rights, and you want to make sure that you know all that you're entitled to. Contact an attorney today by clicking the link below.
Around the Big Sky in men's hoops, courtside style. We're in Boise, coming to you from Idaho Central Arena, and we are closing in on Montana State's quarterfinal game against Idaho State. Checking in with Matt Logie, the head coach of the Montana State Bobcats, a few days before his team makes his way down to Boise. Coach, thanks for being here. How you doing?
I'm doing well. Thanks for having me.
First of all, tell us about the last weekend of the regular season. You guys got yourself a couple wins, carry some momentum into the tournament. So what'd you like about your team's performances, particularly Saturday and Monday, to take a little momentum into the Big Sky tournament?
Yeah, I think it was a pivotal weekend for us. Obviously, everybody wants to go into Boise, feeling good and having some momentum. I think for us, there were some real bright spots to the way that we played, the way that the ball was moving, kind of the pace and togetherness that we played with. Really, I think shone a light, on kind of what our vision has been and continues to be. And our guys were able to actualize that 2 days in a row and really build some positive momentum here heading into Boise.
Seemed like you guys were flowing offensively, particularly really well. What was going well? How were you guys able to build such great flow within the offensive side of the ball?
Well, I think we have some principles in place that we teach and that we work on all the time in terms of ball movement and pace and transition and spacing. And I thought just our guys have really embraced those in the last couple of games and leaned into those frameworks and been able to actualize a lot of the work that we put in throughout the year. Whether that's driving the ball to the basket, creating rotations, playing for one another, setting better screens. For whatever reason, it just kind of clicked with the group that was out on the floor during those last 2 games, and we're really excited about the momentum and vision that we have moving forward here in Boise.
I'm so curious about just making big adjustments to your lineup, because you've done that a couple years in a row now. Last year with John Olmsted coming in and having such a huge impact down the stretch. Now this year with going away from Brandon Walker a little bit and adjusting the lineup on that side. You did it with your point guards earlier this year too. So how much do you think about that? And then what sort of gives you the foresight and the clarity to be able to make those big decisions and also have them have so much success for you the last couple of years?
Well, I mean, I think as a coach, you're constantly in a state of evaluation. You're always trying to figure out either why things went wrong or why you're having success or how you can get better. There's also an element of growth throughout the year, in particular for different players. Obviously, John Olmsted last year was a guy that just kind of stuck to the process and kept getting better and then finally kind of broke through. I think in this year's case, it was really more about how do we get some of the group playing at the level that they're capable of, and I think for us to make that happen, we just determined ultimately that a change would be good, and our guys have been able to play with great pace and great intentionality and connectedness, and certainly the results have spoken for themselves. So. I don't think any of us have all the answers all the time, and at the end of the day, you have to make the next best choice. And, you can't keep doing the same things over and over again and expect a different result, unless, you figure out how to grow, and sometimes that does require tough decisions and change.
Matt Logie, Montana State head men's basketball coach, joining us here on Nuanez. Now we are courtside at Idaho Central Arena. It's part of our tournament takeover. So let's talk about the tournament then. First of all, now that the Big Sky regular season is in the rear view, it was a heated title race between a couple, and then a heated race for all the rest of the city between pretty much everybody else. So what did you think of just sort of the overall balance of the conference this year and how it tested you coming into this tournament?
Yeah, I mean, I think top to bottom, you saw a tremendous amount of parity in terms of the competitiveness of games, on a game by game basis. Certainly, Montana and Northern Colorado kind of separated from the pack with their ability to win close games and create a little bit of a margin there between 3 through 6. But this is a conference that is really, really competitive. There's certainly no nights off in this deal, and you've got a lot of good players, a lot of good coaches, and I think that's what makes conference tournaments really exciting, right? Is anybody can beat anybody in a 40-minute game, and certainly you go to a neutral court, and there's just there's a lot of opportunity out there, I think, for everybody in a time like this in a conference where the margins are very small.
What do you think allowed Northern Colorado to have the great run that they did? And what did you think of just their ability to stay the course? Because they were in first place for a while, then they got knocked down to second place, but then they were able to win this last weekend to get that one seed. So, what do you think made the Bears such a good team this year?
Well, their consistency. I think the consistency, you know, it goes both ways. In one sense, you've got Jaron Riley at the point guard position that is a real key component to their offensive system and structure, and they've had that consistent presence now for quite some time, along with some of the returners that they have. Obviously, they lost some talent, as did everybody in the conference. On a year-to-year basis, that's just the new norm. But I think when you can return a point guard and a center, and then Langston Reynolds, that gives you a lot to work with in terms of the consistency factor. And then I think the other thing that I think it's kind of overemphasized during the race itself is until all the smoke settles, it doesn't really matter what place you're in until it's all said and done. And so, they just stuck to the process and continued to play good basketball. And when you look up at the end, they had won enough of those close games to get their share of the championship and have that number one seed.
Join Town Pump's Pump It Up Rewards Plus program and never pay full price for fuel again.
Save 5 cents on every gallon every day at any Town Pump across Montana.
Plus, earn and redeem points on your favorite in-store items to get free stuff with our clubs.
Stop in and pick up a rewards card. Download the Pump It Up Rewards Plus app today.
Or visit townpump.com/rewards to register and start saving.
Town Pump. Right down the road. Pump it up. Oh, yeah.
Being in this industry since I was in college, one of the things I think we take the most pride in is Aspen Sound's been such a presence in Missoula for almost 40 years. The cool parts about our job is people always ask, what do you do for a living? I sell phone, whether it's as simple as window tint all the way up to integrating a backup camera into a factory screen. We're usually pretty excited about the options we can present to
Matt Logie, Montana State head men's basketball coach, joining us. Let's talk about then your matchup against Idaho State, a team that you're familiar with, certainly split during the regular season, one on each other's home court. So what do you think of Idaho State, and how much do the first two matchups play into this one?
Well, I think at this time of year, most teams have a pretty distinct identity. Obviously, we went through some kind of late season changes, but Idaho State has a real distinct personality to their team. Obviously, you've got Dylan Darling, who has just had an incredible season, has really been a game changer for them in terms of their offensive firepower and creation, and he's a very dynamic player. And then you've got an identity piece in their rebounding numbers that are very unique nationally. And so, those things obviously aren't going to change between now and tip time, and that's kind of how they've they've hung their hat, throughout the year. You got to do a great job on the glass and try to limit their second chance points, and then you've got to find ways to make Darling, as inefficient as possible, because he's got the ball in his hands a lot, and he has a lot of freedom. So it's going to be hard to take away, his opportunities completely. But you've got to make him as inefficient as possible, and then make sure nobody else gets going in a way that they haven't consistently.
It's interesting. It's just it's so fun and also interesting to watch Dylan Darling play, because you're right. I mean, he's so high usage. He has the ball in his hands just constantly, and he's coming downhill at you. And yeah, it seems like he's going to get his points, right? But is it the key just to make him work? Is it to make him just try to take as many shots as possible, even if he does, get a couple buckets here and there?
Yeah, I mean, you're never gonna shut the water off completely for a guy that has the ball in his hands that much and is that aggressive and talented. But you do need to really strive to make it inefficient, because ultimately those are possession wins. And in a 65-70 possession game, if he gets his 20 or 25 points, on 14 possessions, there's 10 or 11 possessions out there that other people can make an impact. But if it takes him 23 to 25 possessions to hit those marks, those are kind of the small victories in the war that you've got to have to get their offensive efficiency down.
You guys have made a run in this tournament before, just a year ago. So what's it going to take for Montana State to do something similar this week here in Boise?
Well, I think the one thing that is unique about our program here is, there's only one team in the tournament that has a player on it that's ever won the championship, and we have a number of them. And so that experience factor is certainly valuable, but you don't get any benefit for that when the ball tips off. Every game has its own story, and I think for us to draw on last year's success, I think the thing that made us really successful was the consistency in which we played to our identity. We played with great passion and togetherness, and I think we've done a really good job of allowing our guys to play confidently and free, which sometimes you'll see at this time of year. As the stakes rise, so to speak, that pressure becomes palpable. And, to us, we've got a lot of guys here that have achieved. We've got a lot of guys here that understand what pressure means in actuality, and that's opportunity. And so we've got a great opportunity to go into this bracket as an 8-team bracket. And obviously it starts with Idaho State on Monday night. And hopefully we can carry that momentum from this last weekend into the tournament and draw from some of those previous experiences.
Matt Logie here on Nuanez Now. Coach, thanks for doing it.
Thanks a lot. Go Cats.
Her stopped your world. The ring you give her should stop her heart.
Tina, will you marry me?
Not again! Don't worry, I'm gonna fix this, because we want to be your jeweler on our beautiful diamond! Clear! Come back to me, Tina!
Are you okay?